Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage this evening's Master of Ceremonies, Tony Doherty.
Good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Well, what a weekend. Well, almost. Apart from us being sideswiped, ambushed by something way happening. So on behalf of all the fans, I want to say thank you, Jim, Arnold, and Bob, for fighting for us all. As a result of that work, we're here tonight to celebrate the greatest show on earth. And now we look forward, not back, in a direction to make this bigger and better than ever in 2021. We want to welcome all the fans watching worldwide on the live stream brought to you by Redcon 1 with Bob, Aaron, and Luke. Now, let's get on with the show. Our first competitor making his debut appearance in Columbus tonight is from Tomball, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Patrick Moore.
You can see why he's off his best, obviously, but you can see why he plays as high as he did at the Olympia with that structure, that tiny waist. He's got everything, man, but he's a young guy and he's just starting his career, Aaron, so he's got a long road ahead in terms of making improvements, and you're going to be seeing Patrick Moore in the winner's circle a whole lot more over the years.
You know, it's interesting, Bob. We saw him at prejudging today, and you guys, the audience, will see him soon next to everybody else. When he stands by himself, he really looks awesome. I mean, great arms, great lines. Everything looks pretty tremendous. Last year at the Olympia, he was 10th place, surprising a lot of people. And I expected him to come in here and really surprise people. And you see him all by himself, and you think, man, he is going to. But then you see him next to everybody else, and it's a little bit different story. Because he looks great tonight. I mean, he looks like he's improved, actually, from today.
Well, most of the guys do usually. All that posing and ringing out. The carbs get utilized.
So the cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Or sometimes it's the other way. A couple cheeseburgers can fill you out. So you're going to see some guys that look a whole lot better and some guys that look a whole lot worse.
How often, Bob, do you see guys? Because I feel like a lot of times we see guys that either are the same or improve. I feel like it's kind of rare on the same day prejudging Tonight Show. I don't see too many guys get significantly worse. Have you seen a bunch?
No, generally speaking, yeah. If there's
at this level.
Yeah, at this level, you're not going to see huge mountains being moved in terms of conditioning one way or the other, but slight differences can make a difference in those placings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just incredible how he looks on his own. I mean, this physique, exactly how it is, you blow that up another 10, 15 pounds.
Well, like I say, he's very reminiscent of Dexter Jackson years ago when he first made his. If you go back and you look at the late 90s, early 2000s, when Dexter turned pro and started making his appearances, very similar. Again, he had that tiny waist. It had everything there, just needed to fill out. So I think that's what we're going to see with Patrick.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? I think we're looking at the future.
And he's actually taller and bigger frame than Dexter.
Everyone's got a big story, but what this guy's gone through
right?
to get here tonight over the last 2 years, you could make a movie about it. So I'm proud to welcome from Melbourne, Australia, Joshua Lenardovich.
Just the fact he's made it to the stage, having going through everything he's going through.
Yeah.
What a lad.
All right, big man thunder from down under. Josh Lenardovich taking the stage, and as we mentioned earlier, Josh had a whole bunch of things to overcome just to get to the stage. So the fact that he's actually in the condition he's in is pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, those of you that would follow him, and if you don't, you should. I mean, he's been quite vocal about how tough this prep has been. I mean, I think he's had a couple of brain surgeries in the last year.
Josh just pulled out the old rope climb from 1982. I haven't seen that.
Well,
I never did that
one. He won the Best Poser Award last year, remember?
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's okay.
So I'm sure he'll be back this year trying to do the same.
And Josh is one of the bigger guys on stage. He is definitely a mass monster. Getting on stage at what, 270, Bob? 275?
No, at least. Yeah, he's bigger than you think he is. But Luke, what's he got to do? Where does he go from here in terms of, okay, what does he have to improve to get into that top 6 places?
I mean, he just needs to be the Josh Lenartowicz from 3-4 years ago.
I mean, specifically though, give me a critique on his physique right now.
He just looks tired. It looks a little bit flat because I think he's had to kind of overcompensate the drying out process. He doesn't look as big. I think he's had to aggressively diet for this show. You can kind of see, that kind of. He just doesn't have that pop, does he?
Well, we talk about the illusion, and you can see he's a little bit thicker in the waist than he normally is, and that will take away from your appearance of looking big. Everything, it's smoke and mirrors in bodybuilding.
It's almost like the rest of him's a little bit downsized, and his waist is the same, so it's the illusion.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think he's any small. I think his waist is just bigger. If you bring that waist down 4 inches, guess what? The whole rest of you looks a whole lot bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For sure. And also, all these problems, I'm sure, affected his training and everything going on with him. And I've seen him train at the Dragon's Lair back in the day at Flex's gym. And this is a guy who's squatting 7 plates on each side for reps, 8 plates on each side for reps.
The cool thing is, he's not that far off.
No.
I mean, we're nitpicking. Obviously, we're splitting hairs because that's what we get paid to do. But he could step on stage at the Australia show, kind of Tony Doherty shows in just a few weeks, and that's in his backyard, Luke. So I can't imagine you won't see a guy.
And last year he was way off. Came back to Australia, moved up about 4 places.
There you go.
Thank you, Josh Lenartowicz.
I do like that rugged physique, though. You can just tell he trains hard.
Our next competitor is a real favourite here. He was 6th last year, and tonight he's really, really in the mix. He brings the whole family. From Dallas, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Kuklo.
All right, the Kook is taking the stage. Big Steve Kuklo.
Steven ruined my shirt.
Steve's arguably the most improved, I feel like, for the show so far. We saw him this morning, and man, he looked awesome.
He was, it was quite clear that judges had him in the top 4. That's pretty impressive in itself. That's a big improvement from last year, where I know he did well last year, but like I say, the details you can see are much better. Separation was Steve's nemesis in years past. You can see by his legs right there, Luke. You see those lines going up into the hips? That's much improved. You can see he's not missing nothing. His back, which was a weak point, now isn't, and you're going to see that when he turns around.
We always say that word, don't you? Refinement. When people say, he needs to refine. I mean, to me, that normally means absolutely nonsense.
One thing.
But this is what refining really is. He's no bigger than he was 3 years ago, but he just looks way better, harder, more separation.
One thing I noticed from the morning show, the prejudging to now, is his presentation in terms of the oil and the color. And while people may not think that makes that big a difference, but he's got, it looks improved, and that just makes him look sharper as well.
Well, that's called polish, and that's what you want. Most guys, they'll kind of redo their tanning in between, so most guys are darker at the night show. The body's had time to absorb all that color and oil and all that stuff in the morning, but you can see right there, Luke, much improved from years past. But Steve's got all the makings. There's people who have touted Steve as a future Olympia contender for legit. So it could be that he's coming into his own this year.
That's exactly what it looks like the last, I would say, 2 years. He's kind of coming into his own.
I remember that was the big thing, right? When Steve got his pro card, everybody's like, this is the next Mr. Olympia, which is almost a curse, because when you hear that, it's like, well, that almost never, ever happens. But he's starting to really come into his own, and maybe one day that is going to be a prophecy that he fulfills.
It just shows how much of a long game bodybuilding really is.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in a couple years. It takes
no doubt about it.
ages.
Let me tell you, that big booming, most muscular boy, that's gonna score well with the judges, and you're gonna see that in comparison when these guys come back a little bit later for these Night show comparisons. That shot right there, the crab shot, the hands on hips, these are all right in his wheelhouse.
I mean, his delts are literally bigger than his head.
Tell you what, the crowd is going crazy for Steve. We're back here watching this thing, and it's crazy that you can hear these guys screaming for Steve like I hadn't heard anybody else so far.
He's a good guy to like, man. Firefighter. He's married to Amanda Latona. That certainly doesn't hurt. But but he's a good kid. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about Steve. He's genuine.
Again, just like Josh, he has that rugged physique. You can tell he lifts heavy.
Very similar to
The
Josh.
firefighter from Texas, Stephen Kuklo.
Another very big guy. Both him and Josh are in the 275, 280
Good old
pound
Stephen.
range.
This guy's something else.
Luke's just upset because he rubbed tan on
There's
him.
no
He's
way to
through my
keep
shirt,
this
man.
short.
I bought this
Because,
especially for this.
all right, where do you start? He's won more bodybuilding contests than anyone in history. 29 pro shows. 2008, he won the Mr. Olympia. He's won here more than anyone 5 times. Around the world, he has 9 Arnold titles. And what makes this unbelievable is in November, he turned 50. And he's announced his retirement. We're never going to see him here on this stage. So it gives us great pleasure to say, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the greatest ever, for the last time ever, Dexter Jackson.
All right, the pre-contest favorite coming in, the Blade. Dexter Jackson making his final Arnold, well, maybe not perhaps his final Arnold Classic appearance because there are other Arnolds this year, but this is his last year of competition in the Olympia. Will be his last show. He's calling it a day, Aaron, hanging him up. No better place than the Olympia stage.
Since the day that I started really following bodybuilding, it's so weird to say, Dexter Jackson has been somewhere involved, And I started following bodybuilding in 1993. I believe that was one of the first shows he did. He may have already been heading towards nationals in 93. And here he is, 51 years old, still doing it and looking unbelievable.
Now, Luke, to your point earlier in our pregame, look at his thighs. I mean, you can tell he has put on size in his legs. It's impossible.
He needs to drop the from the Blade and just be Blade, because he's definitely half vampire. He has to be. I mean, he still has that young-looking muscle. I mean, we were discussing this earlier. There's quite a significant difference with the more masters-looking competitors, and he has that fresh, tight skin, as Chad Nichols would say. The way the skin lays on the muscle.
Yeah, there is no looks good for his age. He just looks good.
Yeah,
you
but I mean, the 51. How many other 51-year-old bodybuilders have you seen?
None.
Exactly.
Zero.
Exactly.
And I've seen them all.
Because usually they look 51 years old.
We'll never see this again. If this happens, we'll be long gone, and somebody else comes along that does it. But this is a once in a lifetime type situation that you're going to see.
I mean, he is legitimately one of the best.
No, I was just going to say the same thing, Aaron. As I'm looking here, he looks sharper than he did this morning. You can see the glutes are sharp, the back.
Yeah.
There's no skin folds.
That's exactly. So for me, how I look at Dexter, I pick a spot on each guy, and that's where I look at his lower back. He has no lines, no folds tonight. He is tight as could be.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's close enough that he could conceivably pull this out now. That's a big, tall order because you still got William Bonac to come, and you still got Big Ramy. And I tell you what, if Big Ramy sharpened up from this morning, it's lights out.
It'll be interesting if Big Ramy didn't sharpen up and goes the other direction, and Dexter made this kind of jump. What will happen?
He's actually quite significantly better. Cheeseburgers.
You're probably right, because Dexter, he just fills out, man, and you can see.
Yeah, I think being a little bit flat it's not quite as difficult or drastic to fix.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's just had a couple more meals, and look at him.
You can see Dex having a little fun with the crowd, a little more animated than usual. This is a guy who knows that he's going down this road one last time here, and you can see he's having a little fun out there. You know what? I'll tell you right now, he's going to be hamming it up with the guys a little bit later on in the comparisons and the pose downs, because what a great career.
This must be so emotional for him.
Dex. Yeah. Wait up, Dexter. Ladies and gentlemen, stand on your feet.
What a legend.
Go back out there, big man. Come on, get yours. There you go. Now, we can't see the audience, but I can tell you, I could probably guarantee you they're all standing right now.
Yeah.
I bet this is a standing ovation.
Dexter's trying to contain
And let me tell you,
himself.
this isn't for Dexter Jackson here. This is for a career that has spanned decades. This is for being a 51-year-old guy. Look at, now the emotion sets in, Luke.
Oh, this is
Listen
giving
to
me
that crowd.
goosebumps.
Listen to that crowd.
I look like a plucked turkey. Wow.
This is the bodybuilding community recognizing one of the greatest bodybuilders of all, a record, in my opinion,
From
that will
Jacksonville,
never be broken.
Florida,
You'll never see
the
him
one,
fail again, winning 30
the only,
bodybuilding shows
the greatest
in a
ever.
career.
Dexter
I bet you this is
Jackson.
tempting him to stay around.
It's good. And Dexter is at a point where he can really appreciate this too.
Oh, yeah.
He has earned this.
What a great moment.
Wow.
Never say that again. Now, making his 9th appearance here in Columbus, Ohio. He's no stranger, and he's a veteran too. From New York, ladies and gentlemen, Victor Martinez.
All right, one of New York's finest. You talk about veterans. Victor Martinez, not too far behind on Dexter when it comes to years in the biz and what he's meant to this bodybuilding community. But, you know, the only thing that sucks is he's got to come after Dexter, you know, which is always tough. But, you know, you can still see signs. You know, Victor is 46, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's still got a few years to go to catch Dexter. But look at the physique on Victor still, man. Look at this guy still bringing it. Now, this is a guy arguably years ago, was it 2007, I believe,
Yeah.
that a lot of people had winning the Olympia over Jay Cutler. And I tell you what,
A lot of people.
there ain't too many people that can lay
Not
claim to
Jay,
that.
Jay Cutler didn't think so. But
No, other than Jay Cutler.
But
yeah.
a lot of people thought so, and I remember that, and I remember seeing the pictures in the magazines and everything, and being like, "Wow, it was incredibly close."
Well, Victor's still bringing it, man. I tell you, that back is still amongst the best. Now, obviously, he's, you know, we've seen Victor obviously at his best some years back, but I tell you what, there is no quitting this dog, man. He just keeps coming back, and I predict right now you'll probably see Victor throughout the year improve.
Yeah.
This is the first show of the year in March here, so he's got the whole season to compete.
Again, just like Dexter, he still looks very fresh.
Luke, what's Victor got to do to recapture the Victor of 2007, in your opinion on his physique?
Forget some leg tips from Dexter, because if Dexter brought his legs back, I think Victor can as well. And if Victor can, I think that's one of the main things that's missing from the kind of the older Victor. But other than that, he's pretty much exactly how he was.
Victor working the crowd. You know, you can always tell that Victor generally, he loves the sport of bodybuilding. He lives, eats, breathes it. You know, he's nothing more, nothing less than professional all the time. But, you know, it pales only in comparison because he has a Dexter Jackson at 51. But this is out at 46 years old. This is an outstanding physique.
It's just an outstanding physique, just in general. Honestly, I think the only thing he's lacking is a little bit of leg size.
And unfortunately, at this level, I'm not so sure I would have picked this show for Victor to basically start the year with, because he can still win a regular circuit show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, he picked the Arnold, which is, and this Arnold in particular is probably the toughest lineup in 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But you know what? He held his own this morning. He was obviously down in the lower call-outs, not what he was looking for. But you know what? All that does is motivate Vic.
I think when you're Victor Martinez, you have to do the Arnold, really. You know, he's been that caliber for so long, and he's a fan favorite.
Yeah, he sure
Victor
is.
Martinez.
People love Victor.
Well, we haven't seen him here since 2016. In 2017, he won the Arnold in Africa. Then he said, "I'm done. No more competing, retired." He woke up a few months ago, looked in the mirror, said, "I've got one more shot. I still look pretty good." And he's back here in Columbus, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, from Dallas, Texas, the one and only Johnny Jackson.
All right, veteran number 2 on the stage, Johnny Jackson. Everybody knows Johnny. World's strongest bodybuilder. He hung him up And then he's back. So I thought he was done for good, but I guess Johnny says he's got a little more gas in the tank, feels invigorated. Again, I'm not so sure I would have probably picked this show, but look at the muscle this guy still. Now, Johnny, if I'm not mistaken, is older than Victor, so he's somewhere between Victor and Dexter. But
you know, he's still got that muscle. Obviously, like we talked about, as you get older, it's harder and harder to keep the legs and build the legs. One thing that Johnny kept for sure is those traps. And that's the thing. That is the thing that I always
That's so
remember
big.
about him.
well, the funny thing is Johnny's always taken flack for lack of legs. But if you see Johnny in person, it's not so much lack of legs; it's that his upper body is so big. His traps in his back. I mean, look at his trap. How can this guy hear anything, Luke?
He probably can't, to be fair.
His traps are over his ears. But look at the back development. Now you can tell this guy was with the world's strongest bodybuilder and a powerlifter in his spare time. He's tremendously strong a power. Look at that back.
I mean, look at his erectors. You can't build.
crazy.
You can't build a back like that unless you've torn some heavy steel off the floor.
Heavy deadlifts.
He recruited his buddy Branch Warren out of his own retirement to train for him with this, which Branch says was quite interesting because, Branch has no intentions of going back on the stage, but he says, I got to beat her for my partner.
Was their training style the same ballistic training?
Yeah, he says it was no different than what they... Listen, that's all they know. They're going in there to mess stuff up, all right? They are not careful. They ain't training at a Planet Fitness anytime soon,
Hopefully
all
they
right?
don't mess themselves up doing that.
Yeah, no thanks.
I know me, I just the difference between 40 and 25. I mean, I am conscious of every rep and every weight, and every time I pick up anything heavy, I go, better not hurt myself.
No, listen, their mentality is still identical than it was 10 years ago.
amazing.
They're still in there messing around. They don't touch nothing that's got 2 digits. Everything's 100+ pounds. You know what I mean? It's just, they're rocking and rolling in there, man.
But that explains why he still has all that muscle.
Yeah.
He still has very tidy midsection as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, I'm very impressed with what Johnny brought back to the stage, and he looks a lot better tonight than he did this morning as well, so I'm sure some nerves were probably in there
Thank
this
you,
morning,
Johnny
getting back on the
Jackson.
stage and all, but he looks good, and I'll be curious to see if he continues throughout the year as well to maybe another
Next guy
hopeful
had
Olympia
3 second-place
appearance.
finishes last year and just kept getting
One of the things
better
with the Arnold Classic
and
is
better.
every year they do have a veteran come
Best
back as
of
an
the
exhibition
today,
for them.
the
It's
free
great.
judging.
Because wasn't it a couple of
From
years
New
ago that Will
Jersey,
Harris
ladies
came
and
back?
gentlemen, please
And then we've had Kevin
welcome
Lavergne,
Hakim
there's so
Williams.
Will World Harris.
He is a vampire.
I always love seeing him at Gold Gym in a speech.
Oh, he used to be enormous.
Talking about enormous.
I was just going to say here.
What a good segue that was.
Hakeem Williams is absolutely monstrous. And you can tell that because when he stands next to the other guys that we keep saying are monstrous, he makes them look small. That's how big he is. But look at that. Look at those proportions. I mean, a small waist for a big man, all the muscle in the world. From the front and from the side, he's deadly. Like you said, it's literally just from the back and literally from the waist up that he needs a little bit more detail. He needs to get that skin a little bit thinner. Is that, Luke, in your opinion, is that a diet thing? Is that a cardio thing? Or is it a genetic thing?
Everyone's heard that expression, seal skin. It's not very nice, but unfortunately, it does stand true. It's just, how do you make your skin thinner? I don't know.
Well, how do you make your skin thinner in one spot?
Exactly.
Yes,
I think
one
it's
spot.
just like I think it's just genetic. I
Because
don't.
the fans who are watching now are going, "What are you talking about?" But when he turns around from
You'll see.
the basically from the midsection up, that upper back, because everything else is unbelievable.
But
right
I
now,
don't-
you don't see any.
I almost feel like it wouldn't be as noticeable if it wasn't for the fact that his legs have crazy amounts
Look
of
at
detail.
that. I mean,
Look at
that's
that.
crazy.
Yeah, look at the separation and the muscularity in Hakeem's legs. Now, here's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
everybody watching at home, okay? He's got a lot of muscle, but you look at that shot right there, okay? And you don't see as much separation in that upper back.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's wider than a barn door, so he's got that going for him. But this guy's got so much potential.
Yes, amazing potential. It looks like he's wearing football shoulder pads when he
Yeah,
walks
I
out.
know,
I always
right?
think to myself, "Jeez."
Now,
I
Luke,
saw in one of the pre interviews they did with Oscar and himself. They said they've been purposefully attacking his delts, trying to bring his delts up. And that's, I think,
Bring his delts up?
Yeah.
For what?
Exactly. But
They're up.
look how wide he
yeah,
is.
how much up can they get?
I don't
mean,
know.
Now, here's my question, Luke. All kidding aside, Is there a technique you can do? It's not a training thing. He's got more muscle than anybody, okay?
Yeah.
All these things you're seeing now, all this muscle splitting stuff the chiropractors are doing, they're rolling things on, and the cupping.
Hakim Williams.
Could any of that help? I mean, does any of that come into play?
Maybe. If he hasn't done it, maybe you should try it.
Wow, what a talent.
Our next athlete won this show in 2017. It was a great and memorable moment, and he became Arnold's favorite. They tried to hide it, but it was just too obvious because of his posing, his shape, and his personality. And he's back to try and win again, ladies and gentlemen, from Heath Springs, South Carolina, Cedric McMillan.
So this is Cedric McMillan, Redcon 1 athlete.
That's your boy.
Yes. Cedric is one hell of an amazing bodybuilder and also one hell of a good guy.
Anybody who's met Cedric loves Cedric.
Yes.
He's such a cool guy. He's eccentric. He's a little quirky, but that's why we love him.
Yes.
He's also military, and this is a 20-year military vet who continues to surf. So he does bodybuilding as a professional in his spare time, Luke.
I don't understand how he does it. I mean, I recently listened to a podcast he did with Fuad Abiad, and they were talking, and he goes over what a typical day for him is. And he has to sneak into the toilet to eat a meal, in 10 seconds run out again. He looks after the children in the area. He does that school thing he does. There's tons of things he does.
He's very involved in his community and giving back. He said, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, in an interview, he pretty much takes the money he makes from bodybuilding shows and puts into the kids' community centers and things like that. So
he's also obviously an unbelievable poser, and I know Arnold has said that he loves his physique, he loves the style and his posing and presentation. And when he gets out there, all of his nerves disappear, and he's in his element. But before he gets out there, he's a bundle of nerves, right?
now, give me an assessment, Luke. We're looking at Cedric now versus this morning. Sharper, worse, or better?
Sharper.
Sharper.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's these GL. What's he doing? Cedric.
He likes to have fun out there, that's for sure.
Luke, why don't you do that, bro?
I'm gonna do it next time.
Now, is he sharp enough, in your opinion, Luke, that he could have solidified his place in that top five?
He's looking for Arnold. He's looking for Arnold.
Oh, yeah, he's looking for his buddy.
His dad.
There it is.
He's one of the very few that actually can do that shot.
That's not an easy shot to do.
No, it isn't.
Arnold obviously is known for that shot, but Cedric is one of the few that can actually pull it off.
Yeah.
I'll just start by saying everybody loves a freak. This guy turned pro in 2012. Every year, Bob Lorimer calls him up and says, please come and compete in Columbus, Ohio. This year, he did. He's from Kuwait, ladies and gentlemen. Mamdouh. Big, really big. Rami Al-Sbaye.
Well, there's big, there's bigger, and there's, oh my God, it's coming this way. All right, and that's what you got with Big Rami making his much anticipated debut in 2020 here. He took off pretty much most of last year, as we covered in the pregame. But you're seeing the fruits of that effort now. The question is it going to pay off with a victory here at the Arnold?
And the exciting thing for Big Rami and for you fans out there is that he's now working with a new coach, Chad Nichols, who's worked from the likes of from Ronnie Coleman to Nasser El-Sabadi to many, many, many other very big guys.
Oh, and big girl. How about his wife? No stranger to the Olympia title, right? He's one of the best women's bodybuilders of all time.
I mean, I can't quite tell yet, but I think he might be a little bit better than earlier as well.
You're going to know that when he turns around.
Yeah.
Everybody looks good from the front, but as we all know the saying, bodybuilding shows are won from the back. And there's a good reason for that. And that's because it's at this pro level, again, everybody looks good from the front. Looking good from the back is an art. And we're going to see that right here.
He looks sharper to me. I don't remember the hamstring being quite that deep this morning or this afternoon.
Well, you still see there's just a little bit of the folds there, and I know that's your center point you like to key on with these guys in the back, but not a lot. I think Luke's right. I think he is a little bit sharper tonight. But so far, everybody else is sharper tonight. So
Looks like they're zooming in a little bit more for us now, Bob. We can get a closer look at this.
I think they had him in the second this morning to William Bonek, who we will see coming up very soon.
He's massive, isn't he?
Now, Luke, could Ramy, if he dropped, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a number, 8 pounds, okay, and came, he's got muscle to lose, so to say.
He could lose 20
Would it
pounds.
benefit him, in your opinion, or not?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just goes to show.
I mean, can you be, I hate to use it because it's bodybuilding blasphemy, but can you be too big?
In some places, yeah. I mean, I still think his quads are a little bit too big. I mean, this is a game of proportions at the end of the day.
Look at those quads. I mean, that's
crazy.
He looks like Earl Campbell back in the day. On the now we can. They're zooming in for us, but what are you seeing from the back, Aaron?
Yeah, now we're starting to see up close. You can see that he's not 100%. That he's still holding just a little bit. And look, he's getting everybody pumped up. People are excited. He is a freak, and like you said, Bob, people love freaks. No, the lines in his quads, you're seeing a little bit more, I feel like, than this morning.
Yeah, he's about 5% sharper.
Yeah. They're so big, it's like they're like a tumor, They're so.
Unfortunately,
not a tumor.
he may be 5% sharper, but so far Dexter's 5% sharper, and we haven't seen William Bonek yet, who is Mr. Consistent. We haven't seen William coming off yet. So.
Well, I mean, I wonder if the game plan with Ramy, if all-out condition is the game plan.
Thank you, big
Because
Ramy.
Definitely should be.
Because if everyone is telling them that, why is
I would never squat again if I was Ramy.
I wouldn't even do
I
leg
think you're
day.
done, bro.
Training partner.
I'll just get
You're there.
Yeah, you're good.
He's completed leg day.
competition
If that was a
before.
game, he's completed it.
One of them made a comeback in 1984 to Mr. Olympia. He come on stage and he held this little baby boy up and said, maybe one day he will also be the myth. And he's here, ladies and gentlemen. From Los Angeles, California, Sergio Oliver Jr.
All right, Generation Next coming up. Sergio Oliva Jr. That's right, folks. You know the name. Be interesting that might be the first time you've had a guy named Sergio Oliva and Arnold on the same stage in some years. But now, Sergio, I was impressed with this morning. I thought he looked great. I thought he made great improvements. I thought he was sharp. I also thought he could have been up another notch or two in the comparison. So hopefully he's sharper tonight and he'll actually get that opportunity.
Yeah, today he was neck and neck with Cedric McMillan, kind of battling it out for that 5-6 spot this morning. So who knows where he ends up tonight? But he is definitely a very improved bodybuilder, and he, like as Luke said earlier, he used his time well in his off season.
I mean, his back's a lot thicker than it was.
Well, he was fighting Cedric for that spot, Luke. So from what you've seen so far, was he able to put enough together to get past Cedric, or you think Cedric has kind of held him off, or is it just up for grabs tonight?
It's pretty close. I mean, I think Cedric improved more, but I think this morning I had Sergio maybe edging Cedric out a little bit, but Cedric has improved quite a fair bit more.
Now there's a great shot. There's Arnold down in front.
Oh, that's
How cool is it
super
got to
cool.
be for him, a guy who actually competed against his
That's
dad?
awesome.
All right, to be up there now filming his son. And there's Sergio knows that Arnold's right there. He's going
His
to play it to him.
presentation's incredible.
He's got to do he needs to do his dad's pose for Arnold, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's what Arnold's waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
The victory pose.
And Sergio does two poses that look just like his dad. I mean,
There you
that
go.
pose right there,
Oh, sick.
the victory pose, and he'll do it. I'm sure he'll do another one. And the most muscular.
Yes.
That most muscular, man, it looks dead on the money.
Quite nimble for a big chap as well.
Now, if you're Sergio and Arnold's right there taking a selfie with you, does that make you a little nervous? I feel like it made me a little nervous. I don't know.
Nah, he's loving it. He's loving it.
If you know Sergio,
It's cool.
there it is. He just pulled ahead of Cedric by split decision. Hey-o.
Go home, Bob.
Sergio's very unique in his posing, as you can see. A little out of the box, but you know what? I'll take that, man. It's better than the same old, same old. He's very inventive with his posing. And here comes the victory pose. We're right here. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Look at that. I love it. That's great.
Yeah, he's put on a great show.
can't help but root for Sergio because of the legacy that his family has.
He's a good kid. He's a little confrontational sometimes.
A little opinionated.
Yeah, a little opinionated. But you know what? I've always liked him, man.
Yeah,
He's a good kid.
He's not boring, that's for sure.
No.
Nothing wrong with making bodybuilding a little more interesting.
I'm very curious to see him match up with Cedric and see if he can pull ahead or even higher. I mean, you could probably go up about 2 spots.
Sergio.
That was an excellent routine.
Yeah, excellent.
This next guy was second here last year. It made him really mad. So he flew out to Australia 2 weeks later and won the Arnold Australia. He's from the Netherlands. Please welcome the conqueror, William Bonac. Wow, that was a bad error. I turned the page and blew it. I'm going to blame anyone else, but lucky I have an earpiece. So now, this guy's traveled all over the world. He's from New York City, Huntington, ladies and gentlemen, Max Charles.
All right, another one of New York's finest, Mad Max Charles, coming to the stage. I give this guy most improved, Aaron. I thought he looked tremendous. I thought the improvements he made in his physique, his separation in particular, were paramount this morning.
Yeah, he looks great, man. He's become an extremely complete bodybuilder. Doesn't have any of those overpowering body parts that initially I thought connected with Max Charles, and now he is come in incredible condition.
He looked a bit funky, is what you're saying. He did, but he doesn't now. And look how much better he looks.
Well, you know what? We talked about can you be, too big earlier. His delts and arms were too big for the rest of them.
Yeah.
It actually made his legs look smaller, kind of like a Johnny Jackson type of a scenario. But clearly, you can see he's brought up his legs. He's actually balanced out his arms are still tremendous.
I mean, he looked like he was carved out of stone, and he still does.
Yeah, he looks great.
Grainy, that's what they say, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he's got that thin skin conditioning. Now, he didn't get as high a call-outs as I thought he would this morning. I was a little surprised, actually, that they didn't kind of add him into that first call-out. Luke, where did you see it?
I agree with you. I think he should have been much higher. I mean, it may be a size issue. I mean, because, again, he's not quite up there with the bigger boys.
Yeah, but he's not small either.
No, he's not small.
And listen, William Bonac's the smallest guy on the stage if you want to go by stature.
but
And
Dexter
is not the giant,
But pound for pound, the amount of muscle Bonac is carrying is pretty incredible.
True, per square inch.
Yeah, it's like a Belgian blue cow.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Luke.
See?
But I don't know what that means, but.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, his lower back, man. He really he looks great. He's not holding anything.
No, he's dry as shit.
Yeah.
Well, he is a guy who might move up tonight. I mean, he certainly doesn't look any worse for wear. I mean, he, if anything, he might be a little sharper from this morning. He's at least as equal to this morning, and maybe better.
I think this is the best Max Charles I've ever seen.
I don't think there's any question there. Yeah, we haven't seen a better Max, but I think he's going to be a little disappointed if he doesn't get an opportunity.
I think
here.
he's been working with a new coach this prep.
Who's he?
I think. I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I heard he's been working with Milos.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the mind certainly in attendance. Milos, one of the best trainers out there. But I'll tell you what, if he is, and hats off to Milos, you did a great job, buddy.
And if he's smart, right, Bob, he's going to do a bunch of shows in a row.
Oh yeah. Max will compete. And he gets better throughout the year, so there's no question in my mind. You'll see Max with a victory this year.
Yeah.
He'll be back on the Olympia stage.
You put him at a smaller show or a mid-level show, and he's winning those.
One cool thing is that we keep talking about how if guys can move up, if they have an opportunity. Steve Weinberger does a great job of giving these guys the opportunities to get compared. And he understands that it's all about comparison. And at nighttime, Steve is not shy about moving people around, and he will reward those who got
You'll never
better.
guess who's
sometimes
next.
he'll put down people that didn't come back any better.
He makes them work.
He's the current Arnold Classic Australian champion. He's from the Netherlands, ladies and gentlemen, and he's here to win. Welcome, the conqueror, William Bonac.
All right, they call him the Conqueror. William Bonac taking the stage. Now, this was our pick this morning. From what it looked like, he was, in first or second. I mean, certainly in the top two. It didn't seem like anybody, they ever put him out anywhere towards the end. So, in my opinion, I think they had him in first. It's William's show to win or lose. And the one thing is, he's a model of consistency, man. We'd never see this guy out of shape.
And he's won the Arnold before, so it wouldn't be.
That doesn't hurt.
It wouldn't be a shocker. Yeah, it wouldn't be a shocker.
And he is the second best bodybuilder in the world, on paper.
Also doesn't hurt.
Or doesn't.
Now, Aaron, this is what you were talking about earlier. His lats literally go right into where his posing trunks are. You don't see that with a whole lot of bodybuilders, man. That is some muscle right there. Look how low his lats insert. That's crazy.
That's where genetics come into play. There's no way to bring your lats lower, unfortunately.
No.
It is what it is.
It looks like he's not wearing any oil.
No.
You know what? Good observation. He looks very dry in terms of. Now, we use dry as a term, obviously, of conditioning, but his legs look like, you're right. It almost looks like he has no oil on much of them. Now, can that hurt him, Luke? Or is it just something we're seeing?
I think it's more just, like from this perspective. I think the judges can see what they need to see.
I feel like, there, like you said, Bob, about polish. There is something to be said. When you see, I always think when I saw Phil Heath come out on stage at the Olympia, and everything is perfect from head to toe, and he has the color and the oil right. It does do something,
Well, it's kind of interesting here because to the untrained eye, you would actually think he's not as good as he was this morning, but you can't really tell because you're right. It doesn't look like he's got if he's got any oil on, it's not a lot, or his skin just soaked it up.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hurting him at all.
Now, that said, there is a difference when you are live and that, you're 20 feet away as the judges are, that they can see all that fine detail that, obviously you can't see at home as you guys are watching this. So you can see he's still in great condition here. I mean, any change from this morning, Luke?
No, I think he looks about the same.
Yeah.
With William, he's always that consistent, isn't he? So he doesn't.
It's funny, the oil situation it's hard to know 100%.
Now they're zooming in for us. Hopefully you guys are getting the same shot.
Now you're getting a better shot.
I don't know.
He may not be. He may not be as good as.
You know what? It may not be an oil thing. Maybe I think he was a little sharper this morning.
Yeah. It looks
now,
like it.
all things to an end. All right. Is that enough for Big Ramy? Did you see enough out of Big Ramy or Dexter? Because Dexter was sharper
I
tonight.
think we're going to have to wait until they're all stood together.
Yeah.
There is quite a disparity between his legs.
Yeah,
His left leg, you can see it. There's something. I heard he had an injury before the Olympia.
Well, you can see he's got almost like a little knot on his left knee, and you can't really tell if that's.
It has affected that leg.
Yeah.
If you look at his VMO, his teardrop above his knee, it's quite down. But it's not. Again, it's not really hurting him.
No.
When you've got muscle to spare, you can get.
tell you
He
what.
still looks awesome. But
It looks insane.
Now, if you're his coach now, the second he gets off this, you running back there and going, get the oil, get some oil on.
I would like pay me 40%.
Oh man.
No, he's I think he should more oil, but
if you win your pro card here at the Arnold,
I don't know. I'm really interested. I'm more interested now to see him
pro.
compared to Dexter and Brown.
Yeah.
This guy.
I tell you what, Dexter may have brought himself a little closer to another hopeful Arnold title to finish out his career if William dropped a step. At this level, you really can't afford to lose anything going into the night show.
Morgan Asti.
All right, one more to go, and that, of course, is the big man himself, Morgan Ast. I believe he's from France.
yes, from France, right?
Now, we don't know a whole lot about him because he was an amateur just last year, but he's a big amateur, Aaron. You don't look up to too many people, but this guy, he had 4 inches on your height.
So we went back, me and Darielle, my wife, were backstage with him, and I'm like, look how much taller he is than me, and I'm wearing shoes. I got heels on my shoe. And I walked up, she's like, no way. And I walked up, and he's got 2 inches, 3 inches on me with no shoes. He's probably 6'6".
And let me tell you, it's hard to look big when you're a basketball player, okay?
Man.
When you're 6'6", man, you got to have a whole lot of muscle to even look like one of the best bodybuilders in the world.
Michael Jordan definitely didn't look like that.
But not just that. Where's his skin? He
left his skin in France.
No.
This man has
big
not
man's
had
even got a little flair. 50 Shades of Morgan.
This man has not had a croissant in years.
His conditioning was actually the best of anybody on the stage this
100%.
morning.
And just for somebody that size, to get that dry. I know he works with Chris Aceto. Chris was telling me this morning he's never seen a guy with glutes like that.
Chris did his homework because this guy's. Watch when he turns around at home.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is crazy.
Look at the feathering and his glute, his hamstrings, his lower back.
He's holding that.
Now, all that said, Luke, he was clearly down in the last call-outs or close to it. So
I'm not sure
why?
I don't know. I think it's. Chris did also mention that he has 2 bicep tears from his strongman days, and so that would mean a couple of his shots are pretty bad. Like he'll literally lose the front double to everyone.
I mean, he's not the most aesthetic guy, and the height hurts him against guys who are a lot shorter.
But I mean, if you're missing a vital body part like your biceps, it's going to hurt you no matter how you look.
Now I got to look at his biceps.
Yeah, when you
I
look
never
at
really
very
noticed
flat,
that
his
before.
front double. So,
he's got the tattoo on the one, which kind of covers that a little bit. But I tell you what, he pulls it off. I mean, it's not, that's a hell of a physique. Now, again, just to nitpick, why? Okay, everybody's at home going, well, this guy's ripped. Why is he down? You can listen. He's got big legs, but they're up and down. Okay, he doesn't have that big sweep like you see with a Big Ramy or Akeem Williams or those type of guys. So. When you're that tall, man, having sweep to your legs is almost impossible. The arms, like you said, Luke, the midsection, could be a little bit more trim. So, and he's a little narrow, of course, given his height.
Right.
Aaron, I mean, you're not going to be the widest guy out there like Big Ramy.
I think it's simply when you're at this level, the Arnold Classic Olympia level, your genetics, how you're born, is massively dictates.
Sure.
You can't change
Yeah,
those
listen,
things.
he picked a hell of a show.
ladies and gentlemen.
But you got to give this guy
Absolutely.
some credit, man, because he looks tremendous.
And we talked about it
That
before. If he's
concludes
325
round
now, maybe
three
he needs to be
of our
350.
Pro Open Men's Bodybuilding. So let's hear it for the whole field as we welcome them back on stage for the confirmation round. Let's welcome back Patrick Moore, Josh Lenardovitz, Steve Kuklo, Dexter Jackson, Victor Martinez, Johnny Jackson, Akim Williams, Cedric
All right,
McMillan,
well, this is
Big
the moment
Ramy,
of truth. So, Linus getting
Sergio
called back
Oliver
out. By the way,
Jr.,
big shout out
Max
to Tony
Charles,
Doherty out there doing
William
a fantastic
Bonac,
job.
and Morgan Asti.
emceeing the Arnold. Tony, as everybody knows, runs all the shows down under in Australia. Has been doing for many years. You talk about a guy who loves the sport of bodybuilding. It's Tony Doherty.
Now we're going to
Tony,
hand you
great
over
job, man.
to our head judge, Steve Weinberger.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, here we go. Big Steve with the call-outs.
While we wait for Big Steve, big shout out to everybody at the Redcon One Gym in Boca Raton, Florida, watching it at
Steve,
the watch party.
Dexter, Ramy,
Guys?
and William.
There we go. Now, they're calling them out in numerical order, okay? So nobody get crazy yet. Now, this is the same call-out that they made this morning, barring any adds or subtracts anybody here. So this was your projected top 4 from this morning.
Dexter and William, switch, please.
Now, I'll tell you this. Somebody got to William. Look at his legs. Got a little sheen on there. So,
They sure
Gentlemen,
did.
quarter
Smart
turn to
play.
the right.
What a great call-out for Steve Kuklo. How
Quarter
about
turn
him up
right.
there with Big Ramy, Dexter Jackson, and William Bonac.
Go on, Stephen.
It's awesome. He must be so excited right now being up there.
Quarter turn right.
Dexter looks very
Face
much
front.
improved from this morning, and this could be dangerous for William because I got to be honest, I don't think William looks as good as he does this morning, but I do think
Front
Dexter
double
does look
bicep.
better.
So far, having Dexter next to William is a good sign for Dexter. We'll see what happens, where Big Steve moves him around to.
Interesting
Front back
dichotomy here.
spread.
You've got the two, arguably, we'll call them, quote, smallest guys in the show, and two of the biggest guys in the show.
The
Yeah,
bookends, the big
yeah,
bookends.
As bookends, yeah. Well, as Arnold said in the his opening
Side chest.
remarks about Franco, who we lost this past year, a good small man can beat a good big man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting too, Bob, as you look at them hit their side chest, you see Big Ramy, who's known as the biggest of the big guys, and Steve is doing a really good job keeping up size-wise.
Yeah, Steve he's losing
Hang
no
with
ground to
back double
nobody. I mean,
bicep.
he's holding his own, and he's earned this position. So now again, somebody can be called up into this group if Steve sees fit. But this shot right here is going to tell you a whole lot. And this is one of Dexter's better shots. All right, what are we seeing, Luke?
I think.
Close.
I'm noticing Ramy's this for him.
Back lat
He's improved
spread.
the most from the rear since this morning. I do actually agree with you with what you said about Bonac. He's not quite as quite there as where he was.
It'll be
earlier.
curious to see if Steve moves these guys around or if he leaves. Now look at that shot from Dexter right there. Oh,
Yeah.
I think Dexter had 2 cheeseburgers.
whole lot of muscle going on there.
Well, so Bob, if he doesn't move anybody and he leaves and lets them go off like this, it's
Side
pretty
tricep.
indicative of the fact that Dexter moved up a spot. And he's in the top two, one or two.
Yeah, because Dexter was third, fourth looking this morning, and clearly he's up in 2 right now. If this doesn't move, again, if you're watching at home, okay, you'd be looking at 1 and 2 in the middle either way, and 3 and 4 on the outsides either way.
Usually Steve will move everybody around and give everybody a chance
Abdominals
to
and
move,
thighs.
but sometimes not.
Now, Steve will mess with you.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he'll do stuff just to do it, just to mess with the audience, which I think is kind of funny.
Abdominals and thighs.
To be honest, that's not a great shot for anybody.
No.
So,
Your favorite
that is not the bread and butter shot of any one of these 4 guys.
I also think seeing William next to Steve.
But now,
It's
look
not-
at Steve. Look at that most muscular from Steve. I tell you, he can hang with anybody with that shot.
Steve's known for his quads. And I think where Williams slightly downsides is really kind of sticking out.
Thank
now.
you, gentlemen. Back in line, please.
Steve looks great.
That's a big.
No, see now,
They
look
could
at-
bring it back out at the end, but right
Yeah.
now, that's interesting. So
It
we
is
could have a
interesting
change.
because he didn't move up on anybody. So from what I can gather, they're looking at these guys as the solid top 4. Now you're looking for 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I can almost guarantee you're going to see Cedric, Sergio. I'm going to say Max Charles moves up into here.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
Sergio. Cedric.
there it is.
Yes.
Akeem.
And Akeem
And
Williams. I
Steve.
just took the words out of my mouth.
And who?
And Max Charles? No, Max Charles. Just the 3 they got to call him. They're gonna call
He'll call somebody else.
I'll bring Kukla back in.
Oh,
Interesting.
no, that's not good for Steve.
No. Now Steve's in the battle for.
Now, again, let me explain to
Steve and
everybody who's
Akeem
watching out there,
switch.
okay? Why is he calling Steve Kuklo back out with these guys, okay? And this is what I love about Steve Weinberger and the judging panel, okay? Because they want to give these guys an opportunity to see if they can compare with Steve, okay, for that, let's say, 3rd, 4th position.
Quarter turn
All
right.
So this is what I'm talking about, Steve, giving these guys an opportunity to compete. And this is all you can ask for as a competitor, Luke. I mean, you know this better than
Yeah,
anybody.
of course.
You want
Quarter
this
turn.
comparison. If you're Sergio and Cedric,
Well, this is the comparison we all wanted to see.
Yes. And Cedric's looking good. I mean,
Cedric's he's been
looking really
improving
good right
every
now.
yeah, he's getting better as he's going.
Yeah.
Just
Now,
Sergio-
you can see a lot of a difference here between the muscularity of a Cedric McMillan and Sergio. The years of the gym, you can
Yes.
tell in that shot.
Well, Cedric has one of the best backs, I think, as well.
Yes,
in
he
the
does.
IFBB.
But they're all holding their own. But
Thanks, front.
this is a precarious situation for Steve Kukla right now because
Cedric and
this
Steve
is literally
switch.
going to make or break whether he's in the top 4 or whether he slides to 5 or 6.
To me, Cedric is quite clearly getting better.
Oh, so they're switching them around. Okay.
Now, this
Interesting.
is great for Cedric, not so much for Steve.
Front double
Yeah.
bicep.
You can see the confidence building on Cedric's face as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sergio should be getting more confident too because he's
Yeah.
right in the mix. And he knows this is it for him. I mean, this is going to make or break whether he's in 4th or 5th. There's a big difference between 4th and 8th
Front
in this
lat
show.
spread.
Yes.
Now, Akeem Williams, to me, is softening up a little bit. Cedric is getting better with every pose. Sergio is getting better. And Kuklo's about the same.
Side
I don't
chest.
think he's fading per se. But I think these comparisons are definitely...
Look at Cedric's legs. Side of his
Yeah.
legs coming in a little bit better. You know, maybe the cheeseburger paid off. And also we talk about polish, right?
That's still a great shot for Kuklo
Back double
right there.
bicep.
You can tell the polish versus no polish. Like
feel,
Kukla,
This is going to tell you right here who's
I
4th and
I
5th.
did notice then, I think Sergio's getting a little bit tired. Maybe he was letting his midsection go
He's
a little bit.
military, man. Believe me, he could do this for days.
Suck it in.
Now, look at the difference. I was just talking about Sergio's back versus Cedric's. That's the difference between a guy who's been training an extra 15
Well, I
years.
mean, as we were talking about with the seal skin.
Relax, spread
look,
out,
I mean, if
hit
you
a
look at
lat
the difference
spread.
between Akeem and Cedric, the level of detail is just night
yeah,
and day.
it's pretty dramatic.
And you can see, and you can actually see it looks like a skin thing.
I hope we get a chance to see Cedric right next to Kuklo. Because right now, from where I'm seeing
yeah. Listen, it could happen. I mean, Steve will work these guys to death. So we've all been on the receiving
Yes.
end of that one.
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
I haven't been on the receiving end of it.
I have.
I've
And
certainly
Luke
witnessed
has.
it. Yeah. It's it can be withering.
I think a lot of people don't even understand how difficult it is to pose this long, this
No.
hard, under the lights as well.
And with pressure. And,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, if this stays
Relax.
the same, then
Face front.
Kuklo,
Steve and Cedric switch back.
See, he's
Wait a minute,
cramping.
wait a minute.
Cedric's
Hang on.
lower ab.
Moving him
I,
back.
I noticed his pec was cramping during his routine
Who
as
was?
well. Cedric.
Oh, Cedric.
If you look at Cedric's lower bottom right ab, left if you're facing,
he's
cramped
cramping up. But you know what? That's a professional right
Yeah.
there because he ain't letting nobody know.
No. He can't now when he's in battling right now.
Well, listen, Steve gave him a
Abdominals
shot,
and
and that's all
thighs.
you can do with
Yep.
this. But I think he's probably seen enough from Kukla that he's solidified his spot. I feel bad for Cedric right now because if he's cramped, that
That's
is the
gonna hurt.
worst position in the world when you're cramping.
Your
and
favorite
you got to
most
hit that
muscular.
shot. I have been there and done that. It is not a good feeling.
You know, he's doing a great job of covering it up. Because that would,
Yeah.
for me, like I've had ab cramp, and man, you just want to like stretch it and pretend, you know.
I got to
stretch
be
it out.
honest, after seeing these comparisons now, like I say, Steve wasn't really fading at all, and he's certainly not now. So I think I got to probably leave him in his position.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back in
Now
line,
it's a
please.
battle for 5th and 6th between
Patrick,
Sergio,
Joshua,
who I think might be
Victor,
ahead of Cedric
Johnny,
if they left him in that lineup.
Max,
You know, the way
and
they did
Morgan.
was
Yeah, they
with
left
Cedric
him- they
back
left
on
him
the
in middle.
outside.
Yeah, left him in the middle.
So right now I got to put. I think Sergio climbed up a spot in the 5th, Cedric 6th, and Akeem 7th.
I can't help but root for Cedric, the red Cowan athlete.
Of course,
so I
because you're
have no choice.
Because you're biased like that.
I can't help it.
That's okay.
Max and Johnny
Cedric
switch.
probably should have won the whole show.
Yeah. Damn judges, politics. You know.
Victor and Johnny switch.
I think this goes back to our point earlier, highlighting with
Yeah.
Patrick. He just needs size. That's it. Just needs some size.
Yeah, just time in the gym, man.
Yeah.
He's got
Morgan
all
and
the
Josh
makings.
switch.
Look how big Morgan is.
I thought they put Morgan
And they put him next to Patrick and Johnny. Yeah,
Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right.
Steve is a troll.
He's got a full head, Morgan, over the two next to him.
See, now, personally, I would have liked to have seen them bring up Max
Quarter turn right.
into that last call-out. And to see if he could have hung.
Yeah.
But clearly the judges are not seeing enough there that they thought it warranted a comparison. So, interesting.
I mean, I would assume it is just the size thing.
Quarter turn.
You're probably right, yeah.
Face front.
You know, the interesting thing is going to be after this is obviously
Spread
the
out
judges
and
are
a
going to
front
go back
double
down
bicep.
and put their scores together. That pretty much gets added to the morning scores, and that's where you end up with your eventual placings. But I'm on the fence right now, man. I mean, I had William kind of in a solid 1-2 this morning, and 2 was up in the air. But I don't know. I think
Front
I've seen
lat
enough
spread.
from Dexter that he might be knocking on the door right now. So this
I-
might come down to the post now.
I honestly, it could flip flop either way. No, I mean,
I don't think I saw enough from Big Rami
No,
that he's
no.
in contention for the win. I think it's
He-
definitely between Dexter and
seems like it,
and,
right?
I mean,
and
Rami was
William.
He was
Side
a bit sharper
chest.
from the back, but I mean, Dexter just transforms since this morning.
Well,
Yeah.
Big Rami just doesn't flow is the problem. So as big as he is, 300 pounds of muscle, you know, it's like you say, his thighs are a little bit too big. You know, the waist could be a little smaller. He could use a little bit more. But, you know, with those fine adjustments, I mean, listen, he'd be killing everybody
Back
out
double
here.
bicep.
So I guess we'll know for sure. You know, a lot of times Steve brings out the top 2 or something like that at the very
Morgan's
end,
glutes.
right?
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he might.
It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
know. Morgan's just crazy, man. Look at the conditioning of this guy. But that's a shame, really, because obviously he has done about as good a job as you're going to do with a frame that big.
And his glute, if you look at his glute, his one
Back
glute
lat
is the size as
spread.
everybody else's glutes together.
Yep.
So you think Steve will bring back the top 2 or something
Well,
like top
Steve's
4?
going to do one. Yeah, he likes
at
to
the
give
end.
credit where it's due sometimes to reward those guys. So, in my opinion, he would probably bring back William. and
Side
Dexter.
tricep.
That's
I
what
would,
was
I
thinking.
would love to see Dexter take this.
Well, that would be
so would
crazy.
Dexter. And let me tell you something. How fitting would that be? That would be number 30.
Yeah.
Winningest of bodybuilder of all time. Again, that's a record we're never going to see broken. And I tell you what, that starts a real
Abdominals and
good
thighs.
road to his final show at the Olympia this year.
Just Max hitting that. He's about to hit hands over head abdominal. You really get a feel for how peeled Max is in this shot.
Max is in
Yeah,
great
he's in
shape. Like I
great
said, I
shape.
really would have liked to. I mean, size notwithstanding, I would have liked to have seen him in the last call out just to see if he compared.
Midsection's pretty much perfect.
Your favorite most muscular.
set up for that, Stu.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line, please.
Here we go. Here we go.
Dexter, Rami, and William.
Oh, he called 3.
That's your top 3.
There you go.
Well, they put Rami out there.
Wow. So you're almost right, Bob. Add one more.
Front double bicep.
Well, but the one thing it tells you is clearly Kukla was probably the 4th.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any question about that, but this is pretty much it right here, boys. Like this
Front
is going to
lat
give you
spread.
your winner. Now, if I know Big Steve, he will move these
Relax.
guys around just to keep it interesting and put Dexter in the middle
Dexter
and
and
put
William
Rami in the middle
switch.
probably. There you go.
Oh, here we go,
And I know
here we
Big
go.
Steve. Boy, that just gave a big boost
Side
to Dex.
chest.
He's going to give him a few shots in the center. And, you know, I like when he does this because it gives each guy that, I mean, I know it's you know, it doesn't
double
make a lot of
bicep.
sense to a lot of the people watching, but, you know, you want to be in that center, man. It does kind of mean something in bodybuilding.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And if you're Dexter, right, the adrenaline, you move to the center and the final call out with two other dudes.
Luke, you've been in that position. I mean, how's it feel like when you
Back
get
lat
that
spread.
call, like, and it's like, oh man, this is like holy crap, I'm in the lead
Well,
here.
Dex is probably used to it, but I was just like, what the? It was to me. It was like it was a blur.
When I looked at Luke's eyes when that happened, he looked over and goes, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
He couldn't
I think
believe
there's
it.
I think there's a picture of me.
Relax,
just like,
turn
wow, he's
around.
coming
Deer
out.
in the headlights. Or a
Rami
cow,
and Dexter
or, whatever
switch.
animal you want to pick on for this one. Big Rami in the middle.
Oh, here we go.
Look at this, look at Dexter laugh. You know why he's laughing? Because he's
Side
been around so long.
tricep,
He knows
yeah.
the game, so he knows it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but he'll play it up.
I honestly have Dexter here out of the 3.
You have him what?
Winning.
Winning.
I think so.
I'm telling you, it's
I think Rami's faded a touch.
and I think William has faded just a touch.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but
Abdominals
again,
and
when you're
thighs.
getting sharper as the blade is, you're gonna fight, huh? Actually, I told you have a little fun with these guys. Like Rami, yeah, that's right. Love it. Tell you, big man represents pretty good in those abdominals,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's certainly he may have a larger waist, but his stomach is always in check. He's got great abs and good shot for him.
Relax.
Right now, he needs to tighten
William
up.
and
the
Rami
shot, but
switch.
The rest of it.
Gentlemen, your favorite, most muscular.
Here we go. I gotta go with Dexter, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I had William this morning.
Yeah, me too.
We made that clear at the prejudging.
But Dexter's just getting harder and
Dexter,
harder and
to
harder.
me, has gotten harder
Thank
and
you,
more
gentlemen.
crisp.
Back in line. This concludes
Rami
this round.
clearly has faded a little
Back
bit.
to you, Clint.
I'll tell you what, it's not a lot.
Thank you,
we're
Steve.
talking again.
Thank
we're
you,
splitting
judges.
hairs, but
What do you think,
Dexter
ladies
doing?
and gentlemen?
How's he doing this?
I don't know.
Let's post
he wins this thing.
down.
The problem, see, for
At
Dexter,
51 years old, bro, that's insane.
knowing Dexter, he wins. He may not retire
That's
after
right.
all.
Yeah,
He may not
yeah.
retire
He's
after
got-
all.
They're going into the pose down right now.
Who's it gonna be?
So, Bob, knowing Dexter, he wins a few of these in a row. Does he still retire or does he change his mind?
Nah. I think he's done. All right, bodybuilders into the audience. As you can see, this is been done for many years here at the Arnold. This just gives the audience a great opportunity to see these guys up close and personal. When you see some of the best bodybuilders in the world really right in your face, it's pretty cool. So they're going to have a little bit of fun with the audience here, give a little bit back to the community.
It's a great opportunity. Everybody wants to take a selfie with their favorite bodybuilder.
And it gives us a chance to do some predictions here because these guys are going to be out there for a little while. So, all right, Luke, what have we seen?
I mean, based on this morning, things have changed quite a lot. I mean, this morning, to me, it was fairly clear-cut that it was Bonek, and I had Rami in a strong second. But tonight, I would probably have it completely flip-flopped.
I think so, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go the other direction. And I'm gonna say, as great as Dexter looked tonight, I still think William Bonac is going to take it and is going to win tonight with Rami in third. So I have to be, I can't go with the crowd here.
I think Rami's in third. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any question about that. And I got a quick minute here, but I got to bring my man in, Tony Doherty.
There he is. There he is.
What's up, big man? All right, Tony, our out on the Arnold stage, obviously, MC extraordinaire. Tony, how's it looking to you out there?
Well, you know what's the best thing, Bob? The place is full. There's not an empty seat, and we didn't know who was going to show up. So for me, I'm really happy for Bob and Jim and Arnold that we've got a sellout crowd. The atmosphere is absolutely electric, and as you guys are talking about, it's a really close show.
Now, it's tough because obviously I do what you do. So I mean, you're on stage, but you're sideways, so you got a great look, but you don't have the straight on look. I think Dexter's sharp enough tonight. I think it's his.
I think he's dangerous, man. That standing ovation he got before, that was probably something I'm going to remember forever. And you know, straight up, I'd love to see him win.
Tony doing a great job out there, man. Appreciate you stopping by, buddy.
I'm going to give you guys another shout out real soon, but I'm going to go and get these ones back on stage.
You got it, Tony. Yeah, I got to be. First of all.